Welcome to DS Trucks. In today's video, we are going to be putting a 12-volt power outlet on this 2020 F450. And here is a look at the part we're going to put in the truck. It is a fast charging USB port, and it will be on whenever the truck is running. So a little bit different from the one I put in my 2020 F450, which is parked right here. On my particular truck, the 12-volt power outlet is on at all times, but on this truck we are going to be putting the 12-volt outlet on whenever the truck is running. So number one, we're going to have to disassemble the front or the interior of the truck. Up here we're going to be taking the dash panel. Over here we're going to be taking the dash apart so that we can put our 12-volt power outlet right here. Alright, so disassembling the dashboard, like I said, we're going to be putting a 12-volt power outlet hot when the key is on right up here in this tray. And in order to do that, we are going to have to remove this tray. And in order to remove the tray, we're going to have to remove this Bang & Olufsen speaker first and get access to the two screws behind here, and then loosen up these tabs. And I want to show you guys a little trick to loosening up these tabs here, because you have to pry on the dashboard, and you want to protect this area right here with a piece of tape so that when you pry on this, it doesn't damage any of the plastic. And also you want to crank your heat, especially if it's cold. You want to turn up your heat. We've had our heat running now for about 10 to 15 minutes, just warming up the interior, so that as we disassemble the interior, the plastic doesn't break and it actually wants to come apart for us. So anyway, let's go ahead and get this stuff taken apart. All right, so we're gonna work this speaker loose first. Basically getting under there, lifting on it, working our tool in there, being careful. So there's little white plastic clips in here. Sometimes they fall down. In this case, one of them fell, but that's okay. There's one in the front. All right, so with this cover off, you can see two of our white clips fell down. That is okay. They are right up under here. We can still get access to them once we take this tray out, but it just tends to happen. One thing you can do as we reassemble this, we're gonna put a little bit of body grease, the Krytox stuff that you actually use for the sunroof. We're gonna put some of that on these clips so that in the future, if we ever have to remove this, it will come off a lot easier. Because with these plastic clips, they're really hard to find, and you only get a couple tries at removing these. So if you remove them once or twice, and then the third time they're kind of worn out. That's why we're going to put this Krytox body weather stripping lubrication on these so that they come apart easier in the future. So we're going to just set this aside over here, and we will continue. Now there's two screws here. I believe they're like 8 mils. I'm going to grab a ratchet, and we're going to remove those next. And working these two screws loose. All right, so we got the two screws out of the back, and in order to get this tray off, we have to pry on it. But what I do is I put a little piece of tape over this plastic part, because it's actually easy to scratch it and mark it. So even with the poly tool, it can damage, and you'll see a little mark. So I'm going to actually tape this front part over, and we are going to try to get in here with our plastic tool. Now, this area here also will scratch and mark really easily. So if I have to go over here, I'm going to cover it up, but I'm going to try to work it out just by using the front. And also too, with these, sometimes you just got to pull on these. We'll see how it goes, but pulling like this and then working a tool up on there, getting close to the tab so it doesn't break, kind of seems to be the sweet spot. But anyway, let's go ahead and get this pulled out of here. Also too, what I just kind of found helps is if you're pulling up on this, if you take your tool and you kind of push on the plastic tab, if you have access to it. On these rear ones you don't really have access as good, but here you can just push here on this little plastic tab a little, and that releases the pressure. So that's kind of how I worked it out. Like I'm saying, go up in here, push that plastic tab, and it releases. So we got this out. We do have a plug to remember with this Bang & Olufsen sound. There is a electrical plug. Screw started back up. Electrical plug here, up under here. Don't forget that, because you go and rip it off and oh, there you go. All right, so we're inside the shop, and our next step is to install this power outlet right here on this tray. And we're gonna go ahead and make a hole with a hole saw in order to install that. Now, one of the things to consider if you're gonna be drilling your plastic tray is this thing is very eager to crack. So when you're tightening this thing down, you really just want to make it hand tight. Maybe put some thread locker on it if you're worried about it, but you can't tighten this real tight because it can crack the whole tray. Now, on top of that, what you can do is find something to drill a hole into as a test hole before you drill your hole in your actual part on your truck. All right, guys, so we've got our flush mount USB installed on our tray. This is how it's going to look up in the tray. It's going to be like this, and it's going to look great installed like this underneath, and our wiring is going to go underneath. And basically we just used a hole saw to make our hole into our part. But anyway, back to the truck and on to the next step. All right, so we're also going to pull this out. I want to do it now before the truck cools off too much. Like I said, we had the heat going. So basically to pull this off, you just pull it back like this. And like I was saying, heat is your friend here. And I'm working with one hand. Keep in mind, if you're doing this, you're going to probably have two. So keep that in mind. A little hard to do with one. But it can be done. It can be done. There you go. So you pull these out, check your white clips if they fall off. Now remember I said that the white clips can fall off. Check it out. They should have landed up in here somewhere. And now that I'm thinking about it, let me grab it. I got one here. Now if I can't find another one, then I have replacements, so not to worry. But anyway, see you guys at the next scene. Okay, so inside the truck, I am going to be routing this ground wire from the bottom of the dashboard over here over to the inside of the dashboard here. Now, your whole entire metal frame is grounded, so if you wanted to, you could attach it right to this. If you wanted to put a hole in this metal and attach it to this metal, it's a little bit more work. What I'm actually going to do is just take this black wire. I'm running a black 12 gauge ground wire to give it nice good ground. It doesn't need to be 12 gauge, but it's what I got laying around is extra heavy duty. We're going to fish it down through here, and we're going to pop out over here, and we're going to tie into the ground that's already here. Now, one trick with the Ford trucks is you don't have to disrupt the factory ground strap. I'll show you guys this little trick. When you pull this out, you don't have to disrupt it. So you can see a couple things here. When you look down in there, you see the ground strap. So instead of just taking that ground strap off and putting it under there, you could do that, but you don't need to do that. Honestly, taking that out of there, if you look right there, if you take that out of there, is more work. If you look, you can use this other hole right next to that, right here in the middle. You can tie into the ground. There's another hole there. I'll take you underneath to show you that. All right, guys, so there's another hole right here that you can use, or check this out. You can actually come in here and you can secure another nut to the bottom of the stud that protrudes out. You can just throw a nut on there right on the bottom of that ground. You know it's a good ground, and just throw another nut there. If you can find that right size threaded nut, you can throw that on there with your ground strap and have a very good secure ground that doesn't take you a ton of time to do. But anyway, let's fish this wire through here. All right, so real quick, we got our ground wire ran. It's popping up through the instrument panel right here, as you can see, and it routes underneath and goes right here. It's just right there. It's attached to the bottom of the factory ground screw as it protrudes down below, and it's tied in and routed up, totally unseen. All right, guys, so we are going to be removing the battery and battery tray for this project. I know a lot of people say you don't need to, but look how much room you have to work with your upfitter switches. It's tight. So I don't want to fight that in order to do this. And I also have to tie into my pass-through wires, so it's just going to be easier for me to remove the battery and battery tray. So let's get it going. Drop the screw. Try not to do that again. Take this off. Now, pull that up and reinstall the screw so we don't lose it. Negative red, or positive red. Say negative red. All right, so for our hot wire, we're gonna insulate it with this rubber glove. Slip this over, just like so that it can't touch anything. And for added insurance, we're gonna put this other rubber glove on top of that rubber glove. This way, our hot wire won't touch anything. We're gonna go ahead and lift this off. This is how you have to change the battery if you ever need to be in here.
Hello? Hello?
Now we have a little bit more room. Battery alone out. Do we have enough space? I mean, kind of. You just pull the battery, then you can get in here. You can get to your bundle just like that. So as far as the tray, you really don't need to take the tray out, I don't think, as of right now. So maybe we'll just go ahead and leave the tray in there and see if we can't find everything we need this way. So now with the battery out, we have good access to our upfitter bundle, which you can see right here in our box. We're gonna pull this out and see if what we need is in there. Let's go ahead and get going there. All right, so battery trays are a little bit tricky. So what I like to do is get all the screws out, and all this stuff, you need like all this room. Like they don't give you enough room here. It's typical Ford stuff. I think I got all the screws. As you can see, it's like it's still tight. Make sure I got everything. There we go. Slide it out. There we go. It slides out a little. So when you look at it, it's like it doesn't want to fit out of here. Battery trays are tricky on these 450 or diesel Super Duties. All diesel Super Duties. Battery trays are just tricky. You look at it, you're hitting here, just doesn't want to give in, doesn't want to let out. So let's see if we can figure out how, in what way, what directions to manipulate this battery tray in order to get it out. So I think it's kind of like it has to go down into the fender liner area. If you're gonna have any hope of getting this out, you gotta push it down and push it in that way. And it's weird. Hope I didn't make this look easy, but it's weird. It's gotta go in, you go in and down and out it goes. So made that look a little bit easy, but trust me, Battery trays are not easy on these trucks. So with the battery tray out, I think I see it. Oh, I think I see it. So battery tray out, and we got access to our pass-through wires. Now we can pick our heaviest gauge because we are on the 20 amp circuit. We could use 2 if we wanted to, but we're powering a cigarette lighter. So yeah, there we go. There's our pass-through wires on this side. They pass through to the inside. We need a wire to go from here, from our bundle, from our brown wire in our bundle, over to our pass-through wire. So anyway, see you guys at the wiring phase. All right, guys, so here on the passenger side of this truck, we are going to be disassembling this side as well, because this is where the pass-through wires come through. In order to get our 12 volts key on power, we're going to take it from here. Now, we're not going to use an ignition circuit that's only fused for 5 amps. We're actually going to be tapping into our 20 amp circuit that is available to us underneath the hood in our upfitter switch bundle. So we're going to go from our 20 amp hot key on circuit, which is actually a circuit that is there in order to power a snowplow. It's for the Boss snowplow setup, but it's fused for 20 amps, which is perfect for what we're doing. We could run 1 or 2 of these plugs on this circuit, and it would be no problem at all for the circuit. So we're going to run that through here, through the pass-through wire from the engine compartment. So we're going to have access here. Now, how do you disassemble this? Number 1, take out your mat. Floor mat out. We'll set this aside here, out of the way. Number 2, you got this cover here. Like I said, we warmed the truck up so that things aren't breaking on us. We're just going to pull this out like so, working it loose gently, so nothing's broke on us. We have to take a look in here. It seems like it's pulling out the actual clip. There we go. Just working it out, working it out, working it out. Just like this. We'll set this over here. We've got our weather stripping next. It comes out real nice and easy. Easy does it. Weather stripping out. And then we've got this part here. So this is one that's easy to break. This is why, flung some dirt at me. This is why we want to warm everything up. We also have this little door to consider. And here, a little fuse door. Pull that out. Comes out like that. Pull that like that. And you have tabs up here that you don't want to break. Like so, like so. I have to open this. Pull it around. Boom. Comes right out. Comes right out. All right. So now we have access to our wires. This here is not our pass-through wire, but this is allowing for other upfitting, I believe. No, yeah. So this gives you your this bundle right here gives you access to your PTO RPM, and it gives you access to your ignition 12 volts, but not the one that we want, because the one that we want is fused for 20 amps. This one's only fused for 5 amps and is used as an ignition to turn on different modules, aftermarket modules and things like that. Can be powered off of this, but not the actual load. So you wouldn't put a big LED light on this. It'd be too much. When you look back in here, I believe the pass-through wires are tucked up in here. So we've got to find that bundle and pull it out. All right, guys, and we are done. I kind of had to put the camera down just to focus a little bit and get this done because we were running out of time, but it was a little bit challenging, a little bit more challenging than I thought. So what we did is we tried to use our pass-through wires, but the inside wire on this truck was just way too short, so I couldn't use the inside wire. I ended up running a new wire down through here, through this area, which you can't see it, but it comes down around the fender liner, through here, through there, and it goes up. If I can fix this camera, All right, it comes down through the fender liner. It goes up through here. It looks OEM. It goes up through the floor. And then it goes through to the other side of the kick panel. And then we have a power point. We have a power point up here. I mounted it a little bit higher because I somehow misjudged this a little bit, and I was too close to the frame rail to go all the way flush. So that's gonna be something I might fix later. Maybe not. We'll see how he likes it. If it's easier for him to see where it's at now, but otherwise we'll have to readjust some things and get it to mount lower. But anyway, that's it for this install. This is a 12-volt key on power point installed up on the dashboard. Anyway, see you guys in the next video. Over and out.